Yharnam is the home of blood ministration. You need only unravel its mystery. But where's an outsider like yourself to begin? Easy, with a bit of Yharnam blood of your own. But first, you'll need a contract.
Bloodborne is a game unlike any other. From the outside looking in, it may resemble all other From Software games, and although it shares similarities, Bloodborne deserves to be recognized as a standalone work of art. Now, I'm a big From Software fan, and I've played every major title since Dark Souls 1. The epic boss battles, unforgiving difficulty, and excellent hidden storylines are staples in their titles. Bloodborne doesn't deviate from any of these. In fact, it can be argued that Bloodborne has more of these mechanics than any other From Software game. So what makes it unique? To sum it up in one word, it's the atmosphere. Internet Pitstop does an excellent video explaining this concept. I'll link it down below for you to check it out. Bloodborne takes place in the Victorian era in a city called Yharnam. Calling the game gorgeous would be an extreme understatement. The Gothic architecture, excellent color palette, and unique enemies make every scene terrifying and memorable. The opening sequence does a great job of introducing the player to the horrors that they will soon be up against. It may seem ruthless at first by throwing you into battles that you can't be expected to actually win, but after playing for a while, you realize that no battle is impossible. Sticking with it and developing your skills as a player is crucial. It's all a matter of staying disciplined and consistent. The hub point in the game is a beautiful garden called the Hunter's Dream. This is where you go to level up, buy items, access bonus dungeons, upgrade weapons, and so much more. It's essentially the central area in the game, allowing you to access all other places by clicking on tombstones and choosing where you want to spawn. Upon your first arrival, you get to choose between 3 weapons and 2 sidearms, but your choices here only matter early in the game, as you have the freedom to change all of this as you progress. Albeit, these starting weapons are sick, and they tempt you to play the whole game with them, though my personal favorite weapon is the Kirk Hammer, which you find just a little bit later. Here in the Hunter's Dream, you also have the ability to upgrade your weapons, which is a great way to assist the player with some of the difficult fights ahead. Aside from the scenery, one of the biggest differences from Dark Souls is in the combat. Bloodborne is a game built for adrenaline junkies. I'll be the first to admit that in Dark Souls and even in Elden Ring, I often look for the easy way out. I dump all my experience points into strength and vitality, equip a massive shield, wear the heaviest armor I can possibly find without doing a fat roll. Bloodborne doesn't let you take the coward's way out like that. Heavy armor doesn't exist to protect you from the damage, and instead of a shield, you're required to rely on perfectly timed gunshots to parry your enemy. Don't expect to rely on those gunshots for anything else though, as they do very little actual damage. Like the Souls games, you have the option of summoning a friend or two to assist you with difficult boss fights, but I recommend avoiding that as the rewarding feeling of taking down a tough boss solo after 20 tries is something special. The game also usually offers little tricks aside from summonings to assist you with the boss fights. If you're ever really stuck, you also have the option of farming experience to level up, though if you get good enough at the game, you could beat it without even having to level up once. The game offers a lot of optional bosses and multiple endings, which encourages you to go back and play it multiple times. That's actually required if you want to get the Platinum Trophy like myself. Luckily, you can carry your previous character, items, and stats over by using New Game Plus, so you don't have to completely restart from scratch. But be warned, the enemies get more difficult with every restart. Now, even after completing the game with all endings, the excitement doesn't end, as Bloodborne has DLC that is worthy of its own video. It really feels like a mini sequel to the game, offering some of the most challenging, memorable boss fights and cool new weapons to the player. From Software is an anomaly in this modern era of gaming. They are a company with integrity and passion. They take pride in the quality of their games. Any game that they release actually feels finished, and any expansion they release doesn't feel like a money grab. It's pretty rare to see that from a video game company these days, and it's one of the reasons I have so much respect for them. Unfortunately, cloud saves let me down, and I somehow lost my high-level PvP character when switching from PS4 to PS5 a few years ago, so it's hard for me to test PvP in 2022, though it is just another fun aspect of Bloodborne. I can imagine people still play this game because of how good it is, so don't be too surprised if you get invaded while playing on online mode. If you see yourself getting frustrated with this, the game gives you the option to start it in offline mode so you don't even have to worry. Now, we've talked about the good things, but it's important to be transparent. There are some bad things with Bloodborne. The game definitely seems to struggle with performance. This game was released in 2015, and while that's not that long ago, some games from last generation show their age a lot more than others. Unfortunately, this is one of them, as it was pretty early in the PS4's life cycle. Bloodborne finds itself in a weird spot. It's too old to feel like a new game, and it's too new to feel like a retro game. It runs at a choppy 30 frames per second when playing on the powerful PS5, which is just a sign of poor optimization. The thing is, it would not take much effort for Sony and FromSoft to fix this. The graphics still look solid. The game doesn't require a full remake, just a slight remaster mainly focusing on boosting the frame rate to a steady 60 FPS. Sony could easily do this and slap a $60 price tag on it, and a lot of fans would be begging to buy it. I often find myself confused by the decisions these big companies make when looking at the fact that you cannot play a better performing version of Bloodborne without the use of mods, yet we will probably have a version of The Last of Us or Skyrim release on your microwave soon. But even with the performance being a bit lackluster, I still recommend this game to any fan of RPGs or even horror games. If you've played other From Software games and you're not a fan, much like Sekiro, Bloodborne stands on its own. If you give the game a chance and you give yourself the chance to get good at it, I can guarantee you won't be disappointed, as this is one of the most fulfilling games I've played in a long time. Now, if you're new to the channel, thank you for sticking around until the end of the video. After reviewing a game, I always like to give away a copy to someone who likes, comments, and subscribes. So be sure to do those 3 things, and maybe even share the video to a friend who might like to be entered as well, because I will send a free copy to someone who comments on this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.